In a significant policy shift, the UK government has announced that sponsors will no longer be permitted to pass on specific sponsorship costs to skilled workers.
That's why we're proposing to get rid of the unfair 20% wage discount. That means that there's an incentive for overseas recruitment, for employers to recruit from overseas rather than to train or to pay people fairly here at home.
This change fundamentally alters the landscape for businesses looking to hire international talent, as they will now be required to absorb costs associated with certificates of sponsorship, sponsor licenses, and related expenses. This development is part of a broader commitment by the government to ensure compliance with employment laws and to protect overseas workers from exploitation. The updated sponsor guidance for work routes, which was revised on December 31, 2024, and January 1, 2025, aims to minimise abuse of the visa and immigration system by unscrupulous employers.
Well, the numbers are coming down now, and we are continuing with the increase in the salary threshold, the restriction
You are going
on
to
dependents,
increase the salary threshold.
The skilled worker salary threshold, we have supported the increase. We actually called for it to increase before the previous government put it forward. We also called for the removal of the 20% discount, the unfair wage discount for people being recruited from abroad.
This move is a response to growing concerns about the treatment of migrant workers in the UK and is likely to have significant implications for both new and existing sponsor licence holders. Businesses need to be aware of these changes and how they might affect their operations and costs. Before we delve into the details, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for upcoming updates. One of the most immediate impacts of this policy change is the prohibition on recovering certain costs from skilled workers. Previously, sponsors could pass on the costs of the Certificate of Sponsorship (SOS) fee and the Skilled Worker Sponsor Licence application fee to the workers they employed. However, under the new regulations, these costs must be borne entirely by the sponsoring employer. This means that businesses will need to budget more carefully when hiring international workers, as they can no longer expect to recoup these expenses from their employees. Additionally, the Home Office has hinted at a potential increase in the cost fee, which may rise from £239 to £525. This proposed fee hike is subject to legislative changes anticipated in spring 2025, further complicating the financial landscape for sponsors. Businesses must prepare for these increased costs, while also adjusting to the new regulations that prevent them from passing fees on to workers. Another significant change outlined in the updated guidance is the ban on sponsoring workers in a personal capacity. The guidance clarifies that a skilled worker licence is strictly for legitimate business purposes. This means that sponsors can no longer use their licences to employ individuals for personal tasks unrelated to their organisation's wider business activities. Engaging individuals for personal benefits, such as household help or personal assistance, is now explicitly prohibited. If a sponsor applies for a licence to sponsor a person in a personal capacity, their application will be refused. Furthermore, if they assign a cost to a worker under these conditions, they risk having their licence revoked. This measure aims to ensure that the skilled worker visa is used solely for professional employment within recognised business settings. In terms of compliance and oversight, the updated guidance introduces new requirements for Level 1 users within organisations. A Level 1 user is a designated individual granted access to a sponsor's licence, responsible for crucial functions such as assigning codes, maintaining user details, and reporting to the Home Office. The previous guidance allowed for flexibility regarding who could serve as a Level 1 user, but the new rules stipulate that at least one Level 1 user must be a settled worker within the organisation. This change aims to ensure that those handling sensitive immigration matters are familiar with UK employment laws and practices. For sponsors who obtained their licences before December 31, 2024, transitional arrangements are in place. These sponsors can continue to have one person fulfil each requirement, but the Home Office encourages them to consider appointing at least one Level 1 user who meets the new eligibility criteria to avoid complications in the future. Moreover, other smaller yet significant changes have been made to the sponsor guidance. The definition of you or your has been expanded to include individuals listed on Companies House as persons with significant control, PSC. This expansion clarifies who is responsible for the sponsor license and compliance, making it essential for organisations to ensure that all relevant individuals are aware of their responsibilities. The section on key personnel has also been restructured to provide greater clarity regarding who can act in certain roles within the licence. Organisations need to verify that each person listed on their licence meets the eligibility criteria outlined in the updated guidance. Additionally, new user types for government authorised exchange, GAE scheme sponsors, have been introduced, with the new Sponsor UK system replacing the previous sponsor management system. This new system does not include Level 2 users, which means that staff from employers hosting GAE scheme participants will not have access to the system. Only the overarching GAE scheme administrator will have this access. To assist businesses in navigating these changes, a compliance checklist has been provided. Organisations should start by reviewing their immigration policies and any related employment policies that refer to passing on sponsorship fees and immigration costs to workers. It is crucial to amend any employment contracts and assess how the changes will impact the immigration budget. If a company is currently sponsoring anyone in a personal capacity, it is advisable to seek employment and immigration advice urgently. Additionally, organisations should log into the sponsor management system to check if they have an existing Level 1 user who meets the new eligibility requirements. If they do not, it may be necessary to appoint a new Level 1 user who fulfills both the employment and settled worker criteria. It is also essential for organisations to ensure that all Level 1 users continue to meet the eligibility and suitability requirements as outlined in the restructured Key Personnel section of the guidance. Any inactive users should be deactivated to maintain compliance. Furthermore, organisations should notify anyone who is a PSC of their responsibilities under the sponsor guidance. Providing accessible resources to help them understand their obligations can facilitate smoother compliance. Conducting an internal audit of HR systems and sponsor license administration practices is also recommended to identify and implement any necessary changes. In summary, the recent changes to the UK sponsor guidance for work routes represent a significant shift in how businesses can sponsor international talent. The prohibition on passing on sponsorship costs to skilled workers, the ban on personal capacity sponsorship, and the new requirements for Level 1 users all aim to enhance compliance and protect overseas workers from exploitation. As organisations adapt to these changes, careful planning and attention to detail will be crucial to ensure that they remain compliant with the updated regulations and continue to attract the skilled talent necessary for their operations. The government's commitment to strengthening the immigration system and safeguarding workers' rights will undoubtedly shape the future of sponsorship in the UK. We recommend regularly checking official guidance and seeking professional advice when needed to stay ahead of these changes. Being proactive in understanding immigration laws and requirements can make a significant difference in successfully navigating the application process. Thank you for watching. Drop your questions in the comments below and don't forget to like and share this video with anyone who might be affected by these changes. We'll see you in our next update.